My name's Riley, and I just wanted to share some of my thoughts I had on the questions from this unit's readings. So for the first question, which had to do with how we can get along better and talk to people better who have different beliefs and feelings about like gender and identity. And first off, I just wanted to say that I really liked the video that was shared, the one about how Jesus talked to that woman who was an adulterer and told people that only if they hadn't sinned, then they could cast the stone. And that really just stood out to me. And I think the main thing that I took away from that video is that we all sin differently. And I think a lot of people tend to put themselves on a pedestal because they don't do certain things and other people do, and so they tend to look down on those people. But I think it's important to remember that we are also sinners, but everybody has things they struggle with and everybody struggles with different things. So you really can't put yourself on a pedestal and think that you are better than other people just because you sin differently than they do and they do, and you struggle with things that they don't struggle with and they struggle with things you don't struggle with. So that's like something that I always try to remember when dealing with stuff like this. And also, I think it's really important to remember that it's not in any way our job to judge other people and judge them for what they are going through and their struggles, and judge them for thinking and believing differently than we do. Only someone who's perfect could do that, and so there's really only one person that has the power to do that, and we are not in that position to do that. So I think the most important thing is just to focus on loving others, and I think that Jesus was a really, really great example of that, especially in that video. He just showed so much love and compassion towards her, and I think a good way to do this is just by humbling ourselves, by listening to those people and really trying to understand where they're coming from, and really just seeing them as a human being and respecting them and respecting their beliefs and respecting their opinions, even though they might be different than our beliefs and our opinions. And I think when we're able to do that and really see them for who they are, and take that time to get to know them and understand where they're coming from, then that kind of opens up a better space for you to have more meaningful conversations and be on a level where like you can respect them and they can respect you back. And I think that's when like the most meaningful and like important conversations are able to be had. So those are just some of my thoughts for the first question. And then the second question was, what truths from an eternal perspective of the plan have you learned about gender identity that help you articulate why the church feels the way they do? This question's a little tricky for me, but some of the things that I thought about that I've learned about this is how God's plan and his laws never change, even though the way the world has viewed them has changed over time. Like in the video, it showed how like 100 years ago, the world used to view gender and identity and same-sex marriage in a completely different way, and how that has evolved over time, but how God's plan or God's laws don't, they stay the same. And I think this is because we were created for a very divine reason, and it's so important that God isn't willing to change his views, even though it's not the popular thing to do or the popular thing to believe. It's so important that he keeps it the same, even though a lot of people struggle with that. And something that I was just thinking about is how it's a lot bigger than us, and it's a lot bigger than just right now, because gender and identity is how we were in the pre-life, and it's what we were destined to be in this earth life, and it's also what like we're destined to be in the afterlife. And so it's much bigger than just our like desires that we have right now, because it's an eternal thing and not just a now thing. And something that they said is we're not going to be able to understand everything right now in this life, which, like you said, is a really hard pill to swallow. It's something I really struggle with, and it's hard not having answers. But I think the most important thing you can do is just focus on loving others and not judging others, and just seeing everybody as a child of God and just doing your best to love them no matter what, even if they have different opinions and beliefs and values than you do. Because ultimately that's the most Christ-like thing you can do, is just love people no matter what. So yeah, so those are just some of my thoughts and feelings about this unit, and I look forward to seeing your guys' responses as well.